The boy woke up on a cold metal floor. His head hurt, his arms felt heavy, and when he tried to move he couldn't. Strong metal cuffs held his hands and feet. He blinked slowly. The lights were bright, bluish, strange. The room didn't look like Earth. The walls were smooth, shiny, and curved. There was no window, no smell, no sound until they entered. Tall, beautiful, dangerous. Alien girls. They looked like humans at first glance, but they were not. Their skin had soft colors: blue, silver, green. Their eyes glowed. Their hair floated as if gravity didn't touch it. They wore shiny suits and walked with pride, like soldiers, like queens. One of them stepped closer. She had violet skin and yellow eyes. She looked down at him with a smile, not a kind one. "So this is the human?" she asked in a cold voice. Another girl laughed. "He looks weak." They all started laughing. One leaned in and poked his chest with her finger. "Is this all Earth has to offer? You're soft." The boy didn't speak. He stared at them, his expression calm, quiet. "What's your name, little Earth boy?" One of them mocked. Still he said nothing. The girl with yellow eyes frowned. "Is he broken?" "No," said another. "He's just afraid," but he wasn't. Inside his mind was racing. He was watching, listening, learning. Hours passed. They didn't feed him. They didn't offer water. They only talked and laughed and ran tests. Bright lights scanned his body. Machines buzzed. One screen showed his heart rate. Another showed his brain activity. "Interesting," one alien girl said. "He's small, but his brain very active." "Still useless," said another. "He can't fight. He can't lift. He's not fast." "He's a pet," someone added. "A toy." That made them laugh even harder. But one of the alien girls, the youngest one, looked at him differently. Her name was Lyra. She didn't speak much, just watched. Her eyes were deep blue, and there was something in them. Curiosity. Why is he not afraid? She wondered. Later, they threw him into a glass room like a cell. It had no bed, no tools, just white lights and a camera in the ceiling. Still chained, he sat in the corner, thinking. Back on Earth, he was nobody. A quiet boy. From a poor city. No one believed in him. Not even his teachers. But he always believed one thing. Mind beats muscle, he whispered to himself. They think I'm weak. Good. The door hissed open. One alien girl walked in. She was tall, with silver skin and short black hair. Her name was Vexa. She looked angry. "Stand up, human." He didn't move. She came closer. "Stand up." Still he sat still, calm, silent. Vexa kicked him. Not hard, but enough to knock him over. "See?" she shouted to the others through a speaker. Pathetic. The other girls were watching from behind a glass wall. "Put him in the test cage," one of them said. "Let's see how long he survives." The test cage was a dark room, strange metal walls. No doors, no windows, just silence. Until the floor opened. A mechanical beast rose from below. It had 6 legs, glowing red eyes, and sharp steel claws. It wasn't alive, but it was fast, smart, and built to kill. The human boy stood alone. No weapon, no armor. The alien girls laughed again. From the observation room, "Let's watch him scream." The robot charged, but the boy didn't run. He ducked, rolled, and used the robot's own weight to slam it into a wall. He noticed its legs, 3 joints, 1 weak hinge. "Interesting," he whispered. The robot came again, faster. This time. The boy grabbed a loose metal pipe from the floor, snapped from the wall in the earlier attack, and jammed it into the hinge. The robot froze. It sparked. It fell. Silence. The alien girls stared, shocked. "How?" one whispered. "He's not strong," Vexa said, stunned. "But he's clever." The boy looked up at the glass wall, breathing hard but smiling slightly. He raised His voice for the first time, calm, cold. You think I'm weak? You'll regret bringing me here. The room smelled like metal, blood, and fear. But not his. The human boy stood in the center of the cage, surrounded by smooth metal. Walls. Overhead, glowing lights cast long shadows. The floor was marked with burns and scratches, signs of past battles. It was not a room. It was a test. And he knew it. Above him, behind an invisible barrier, the alien girls watched silently. No more laughter, no more jokes. Just cold eyes. Curious minds. Vexa crossed her arms. This one is strange. He's not what I expected. He's still human, said another. He'll break. They always do. But Lyra, silent, thoughtful, said nothing. Her eyes stayed on the boy. Suddenly, a loud mechanical click echoed in the cage. The floor shook. The center of the room opened like a metal mouth, and a new beast rose from below. This was not like the last one. It was taller, heavier, faster. Its arms had blades. Its eyes glowed blue. It scanned the human and roared, though it had no throat. The human didn't move. He studied it like a puzzle. Fear was not in his eyes. Only calculation. A red countdown appeared on the wall. 3, 2, 1. The robot charged. The boy rolled aside. Sparks flew. The blade missed him by inches. He grabbed a broken panel from the wall and used it as a shield. The alien girls leaned forward. He adapts fast, one said. Too fast, another whispered. The robot turned quickly. It slashed again. The boy blocked with the panel, barely, but the force threw him across the floor. His arm bled. His breathing grew heavy. Still, he stood. He looked up at the glass. Straight at Vexa, and smiled. That smile, it wasn't pride. It was a message. I'm still here. The robot charged again. This time, the boy ran. Not away, but toward the beast. At the last second, he slid under it, grabbed the loose wire hanging from its leg, and pulled hard. The robot stumbled. He climbed its back, pulled another wire, tore open a panel. Sparks, smoke. The robot shook violently, then stopped. Silence. The cage filled with smoke. The boy dropped to one knee, exhausted, but alive. The alien girls were speechless. Impossible, said one. No human has passed level 2, said another. He didn't pass, Lyra whispered. He solved it. Later, back in his cell, he sat quietly. His hands were bloody. His clothes were torn. But he smiled faintly. He had seen something in the robot's design, something weak. Something wrong. He had used it. He had learned. Every test they gave him, he would treat like a puzzle, a problem. And problems had answers. Meanwhile, in the control room, the alien commander entered. She was older than the others. Her voice was cold steel. Who gave permission for level 2? Vexa looked down. No one, she said. He earned it. The commander walked to the glass wall and stared down at the boy in his cell. Strange, she said. He does not fear pain. He does not beg. He thinks. She turned to the girls. Double quotes tomorrow. Give him level 3. The girls looked at her in shock. That's suicide, one said. He'll die, then we will see, the commander replied. Is he just lucky? Or something else? That night, Lyra stood alone outside the human cell. She looked at him through the glass. He was asleep, calm, peaceful. But then, as if he felt her gaze, he opened his eyes. Their eyes met. No words. Just a quiet moment between two worlds. Lyra's heart beat faster, but she didn't know why. They locked him in silence. But his mind made noise. No walls could trap a brain that refused to stay still. The human boy sat in his new cell, smaller, colder, and completely sealed. No corners to hide in, no cracks to slip through. The walls pulsed softly with blue light. No buttons, no doors. Not even a vent, The aliens thought this was smart, but he was smarter. For hours, maybe days, he didn't move much. He just watched. Counted the time between light pulses. He listened to the hum inside the walls. He traced the floor with his fingers, 1 inch at a time. And soon, he started to see patterns. The lights blinked in a sequence for long. 2 short, 1 pause. Not random. A language. In the control room, the alien commander stared at his data. Still no signs of fear, she said. He sleeps little, Vexa added. His mind stays active. He's not fighting with strength anymore, one girl said. He's thinking. The commander narrowed her eyes. That's more dangerous. Inside the cell, the boy leaned close to the wall. He whispered numbers. He tapped rhythms with his knuckles. He spoke to the system, not with words but with code. Back on Earth, before all this, he was nobody special. But he had one gift. He could read patterns like books. While others saw blinking lights, he saw questions, and he knew how to answer them. One night, if it was night, he found something. A weak pulse in the floor. He dug his nails into the edge of a panel and pulled until it popped loose. Behind it, a small circuit blinked. Blue and red. His heart jumped. The system wasn't perfect. He touched 2 wires together. The lights in the room flickered, then changed color. He smiled. Above, in the control room, alarms beeped softly. What was that? Vexa asked. Just a power shift, someone replied. Maybe a glitch. No, said Lyra, watching the screen. He did something. The boy now had control, tiny control, but real. He couldn't escape yet, but he could listen. He tuned into the hallway speakers. Faint voices came through, alien voices. He listened. He learned their language, their names, their routines. And he waited. Then came the test. The door opened suddenly. 2 guards walked in, tall and armored. One stepped forward. Time for level 3. The boy stood up slowly, but as he passed the hallway screen, he whispered something. Just one word. In there. Language. The guards froze. He had spoken perfectly. How? Do you know that word? One guard asked. The boy turned his head slightly. You talk too loud, he said. Up in the observation deck, the commander slammed her hand on the table. He's listening to us, she growled. He understands. One of the girls gasped. That's not possible. Vexa whispered. He's breaking the rules of the game. In the next test room, the walls were different, darker, more advanced. The floor moved beneath his feet like a machine. This time, they gave him no opponent. No robot. Just a challenge. A puzzle wall with moving parts. Code symbols glowing on panels. A countdown above. 60 seconds. The alien girls watched. No one spoke. The boy stared at the puzzle. At first, he didn't move. Then, in the last 30 seconds, he acted. Fingers flying. Eyes scanning. Hands moving pieces, one by one. The lights on the wall turned green. 10 seconds left. He slammed the final piece into place. Puzzle complete. The countdown froze. The wall lit up. He stepped back, sweat on his forehead, breathing fast. The room was silent. Then one alien girl said, "No one has ever solved level 3. He didn't just solve it," said Lyra, her voice low. He rewrote it. Back in his cell, the boy sat down and smiled to himself. He knew now, this was more than a test. This was a war. Not of fists but of minds, and he was winning. Lyra wasn't supposed to feel anything. Not curiosity. Not guilt. And definitely not sympathy. She was a cadet of the Syrinx order raised to be strong, logical, and loyal to the Empire. She had passed every test, earned every rank, and followed every rule. But the human boy was changing that. And she hated it. She watched him from behind the observation glass again. Alone in his cold, glowing cell. Quiet. Still. But never asleep for long. He studied everything. Every wire. Every sound. Every change in light. Most aliens thought he was still just a lucky experiment. But Lyra knew better. He wasn't reacting to their world. He was learning it, shaping it. She remembered the first time he looked at her, not like a prisoner looking at a guard. No fear, no anger, just curiosity. Like he was studying her. No one had ever looked at her. Like that. The others didn't notice it, but Lyra did. He never begged, never screamed, never cried. After passing level 3, he was offered food for the first time. Real food. Not just pellets and water. He took it with calm hands, nodded once, and said, "Thank you," that single word. In their language, the other alien girls had laughed nervously. "He's copying us now." But Lyra didn't laugh. She just stared at him, confused. Why say thank you? Why not attack or insult? Or remain silent? Was he trying to understand them? Later that night, Lyra broke a rule. She took a solo walk to his cell. No cameras, no orders. Just her and the human. He was sitting again, back to the wall, arms resting on his knees. He heard the door slide open, but didn't move. "You're not supposed to be here," he said without looking. She stepped in quietly. The glow from the floor lit her silver boots. "I know," she replied. Finally he looked up. His eyes were tired but sharp. Lyra crossed her arms. "You should hate us," she said. He tilted his head slightly. "Should I? We kidnapped you. We tested you. We caged you." "Yes," he nodded. "But that's not new. Humans have done worse. To each other." She blinked. That answer wasn't angry. It wasn't weak. It was honest. "Why don't you fight?" she asked. "I am fighting," he said. "I just don't need fists to win." She looked down at her hands. Strong hands, trained hands. For battle. For control. "You confuse me," she whispered. "You interest me," he replied. Silence filled the cell. Not cold silence. Heavy silence. Like two minds were standing on the edge of something bigger. Then he said something that made her heart skip. "You're different from the others." Lyra looked up, surprised. "I've seen the way you watch," he continued. "You're not laughing like them. You're thinking." No one had ever said that to her, not even her instructors. For a moment, she wanted to say something real, something true, but the alarm beeped in her wristband. Her time was up. She turned to leave. "Lyra," he said softly. She froze. "How do you know my name?" she asked. I listened. That made her shiver. Not from fear, from being seen. Later, in the command chamber, Vexa noticed her silence. "You look distracted," she said. "I'm fine," Lyra replied. "You've been watching the human too closely." Lyra didn't answer. "He's manipulating you," Vexa warned. "That's what they do, soft words, clever tricks." But Lyra knew it wasn't that simple. The boy wasn't trying to trick her. He was trying to understand her. And maybe he already did. That night, in his cell, the boy sat in the dark again. But this time, he was not alone in his thoughts. He remembered Lyra's eyes, deep purple, glowing softly in the dim light. Eyes that didn't judge. Eyes that didn't belong to a soldier. Eyes that were human. He whispered to himself. She be the key. Freedom doesn't start with running. It starts with thinking no one owns you. The human boy had already escaped mentally. His body was still trapped, his cell still locked. But his mind, it was outside the walls, ahead of the guards. Behind the cameras. Between the wires. They didn't know yet, but soon they would. He no longer looked tired. Now he looked busy. He had turned his bed frame into tools. A single spring, hidden in the floor. A sharp corner broken off the light panel. A thread of wire wrapped around his wrist like a bracelet. To the guards, it looked like boredom. To him, it was progress. Lyra noticed the change first. She watched him from the viewing deck. His hands moved differently now, slower, more careful. His eyes scanned the walls, not in fear, but in calculation. What is he doing? Vexa asked beside her. Thinking, Lyra replied softly. Vexa frowned. Too much of that is dangerous. Lyra didn't answer, but in her mind, she was asking a dangerous question. What if he deserves to escape? That night, Lyra visited him again. No orders, no watchers. Just her and the quiet. She stepped inside his cell. He didn't look up. You're building something, she said. He smiled slightly. So are you. She blinked. What do you mean? You keep coming here, he said, still working with his hands. Each visit, you break your own rules. That's construction. Of a new mind. Lyra didn't know how to reply. She stepped closer. What are you really doing? She asked. He finally looked at her, escaping. She should have sounded the alarm, called security, reported him. Instead, she whispered, How? He reached under the bed, pulled out a tiny circuit board alien tech, bent and reshaped. This listens, he said, to every hallway, every system command. He pointed to the wall. This light here, it flickers when no one is nearby. That means blind spots. Then he looked at her. But I need help. Without someone on the inside, I'll fail. She backed away. Her heart beat fast. You're asking me to betray my people. No, he said quietly. I'm asking you to choose who you are. For a long moment, silence filled the room. Then she left fast. Without another word, she didn't sleep that night. The next day, the alien base went into lockdown. One of the lower robots had gone offline. No cause, no warning, malfunction, they said. But Lyra knew better. He was testing them. Testing the system that he was moving. That evening, she found a folded paper under her control panel, primitive human style. Written in clean letters, the door on level 6 has a weak lock. Midnight, one chance. Lyra stared at the note. Her fingers shook. At midnight, she stood in the corridor. The door to level 6 glowed faintly. No guards, no sounds. Just her and the blinking red light. She waited. 1 minute. 2, 3. Then he appeared from the shadows. No footsteps. No fear. He had made it this far without being caught. They stared at each other. I'm not here to kill, he said. I just want out. She nodded. I know. Lyra took out her wrist device, entered a secret override code, and the door slid open. He stepped inside. Why are you helping me? He asked. She looked away, then whispered the truth. Because you're the only one here who's free. Above, in the control room, Vexa stared at the screen. A red dot blinked. Level 6. Accessed. Unauthorized. She narrowed her eyes. Something's wrong. Back in the tunnel, the boy turned to Lyra. I'll come back for you, he said. She didn't smile. May not be here, she said. Then the door closed between them. Every system breaks the same way, from the inside. But so do people. Lyra stood in the dark hallway, heart racing. The steel door had closed behind the boy. For 10 seconds, everything was silent. Then the alarm screamed. Red lights, sirens. Heavy boots. He didn't make it far. 3 armed guards dragged the human back through the corridor. Blood on his lip, hands chained again. Face calm. In the command hall, Vexa stood waiting with her arms crossed. Tried to escape? She said coldly. The boy didn't speak. Who helped you? The commander asked. Still, silence, but his eyes moved, just slightly, toward the viewing deck, toward Lyra. She didn't blink. Didn't speak. Didn't move, but in her chest, something cracked. The guards threw the boy into the middle of the room. You should have stayed quiet, the commander said. You were interesting. Now, you're just broken. The boy sat up slowly, wiped blood from his mouth. I'm still thinking, he said. That should scare you more than anything. They moved him to Sector 9, the punishment zone. Cold, silent, and far underground. No lights. No schedule. Just a room of silence and metal walls that listen to your heartbeat. VXA called it the cage of forgetting. Most minds didn't last a day in there. Meanwhile, Lyra was called to the commander's office. "You were near level 6 last night," the commander said. "Why? I couldn't sleep," Lyra lied. "You've been watching the human more than necessary. I study all test subjects." The commander leaned forward. "Be careful, cadet. He has something we don't understand. But that doesn't make him special. It makes him us." Lyra nodded, but her hands were cold. In the dark cage, the human boy lay on the floor. No tools. No code, no wires, nothing. But still his mind worked. He remembered the routes, the timing, the layout, the security tones. Even failure taught him something. And Lyra? He didn't blame her. Trusting someone always comes with risk. But not trusting anyone. That was worse. On the third day of silence, someone opened the cage door. Light spilled in. A single figure entered. Lyra. She looked tired. Pale. Her uniform wasn't clean. There was a cut on her cheek. She walked in slowly and sat near the wall. She didn't speak for a long time. Finally she said, "I didn't tell them." He turned his head. "I know. They suspect me," she whispered. "They might remove me from command. You helped me once. That means more than failure." Her voice shook. "You don't hate me?" He smiled weakly. "I don't have time for hate, only for escape." Then she did something unexpected. She slid a small chip toward him on the floor. "Voice access key," she whispered. "Limited to 6 minutes. It can disable the drone sensors." He picked it up. "Why are you helping again?" She looked at him. "I don't know what you are, but I know what I am not. I'm not like them anymore." That night, cameras blinked across the lower levels. Then back out. Vexa ran through the control center. Cameras offline on all lower decks. System override from inside the cage. Impossible. Someone yelled. Only commanders can do that. But it was already happening. The door to Sector 9 was open, and the human boy was gone. He didn't run this time. He walked. With calm. With timing, with a plan. He moved through blind spots, behind walls, into forgotten tunnels. The chip worked. The drones ignored him. He was invisible. By the time Vexa and the guards reached Sector 9, they found only a message burned into the wall. "You study me like a problem. But you forgot. Problems learn too." Back in the security center, Lyra stood silently. She was surrounded by other cadets. The commander stared at her. "You knew," the commander said. Lyra didn't answer. "Where is he going?" Lyra looked. Her in the eye. "Somewhere you can't follow." They thought they had locked him inside their world. They never saw he was learning how to take it. 3 hours after the escape, the entire base went into blackout. Lights off, doors frozen, weapons offline. A quiet voice echoed through every speaker. "This is not a system failure. This is a message." The alien girls looked at each other in panic. "Who's speaking?" One cadet whispered. The commander's eyes widened. "It's him." The boy was no longer hiding. He was in the mainframe. Somewhere deep in the base, in a forgotten tech chamber. The boy sat in front of an alien console. His hands moved fast across glowing panels. He spoke softly into the system. "You used machines to study me. I used them to understand you." He had learned the language, learned the security codes, learned how the AI system thought. And now, he had rewired it all. In the command center, every screen showed the same image. His face, not angry, not afraid. Just calm. He spoke again. "You called me weak, you called me a test. But you forgot what humans do best. We adapt." The base lights returned, but now they glowed red. The security bots stopped responding to voice commands. Doors opened and closed on their own. Elevators moved without control, that the system wasn't broken, that it had changed sides. "Shut him out," Vexus shouted. "I can't," screamed the tech officer. "He's in everything." The commander slammed her fist on the table. "How did this happen?" Lyra stepped forward, her voice quiet. "You studied his body, but you ignored his mind." In the lower halls, the boy moved through the base like a ghost. No alarms, no guards. Drones stepped aside for him. He reached the command chamber entrance. Alone, the massive doors opened before him like they recognized a new leader. Inside, the commander stood waiting, flanked by guards. "You hacked our entire base," she said. "I reprogrammed it," he corrected. "It listens to logic, and I gave it better answers than you ever did." The guards raised their weapons. The boy held up one. Small remote. Click. All weapons dropped from their hands, dead. The drones behind them turned toward the guards. "Not the boy. Don't be afraid," he said. "This isn't a war. It's a lesson." Lyra stepped forward. She didn't speak. She just nodded. The boy looked at the commander. "You thought power meant control," he said. "But real power is something else." "What is it?" the commander asked. He smiled. "Choice." He walked to the central console and entered one last command. Every cage door in the base opened. Robots. Lower species. Forgotten prisoners. All free. The commander fell to her knees, defeated. "You were just one boy," she whispered. "One human." He looked down at her. "That was your mistake. You thought I was alone." Later, as ships powered up and the former captives prepared to leave the base, Lyra walked beside him. "Where will you go now?" she asked. He looked at the stars above. "Anywhere," he said. "But I want to build something better. A place with no cages." She looked down. "Do humans forgive?" she asked. He looked at her, the one alien who had chosen differently. "Some do," he said. "The smart ones," she smiled faintly. "Then maybe I can learn." He stepped aboard the shuttle, turned back and said, "Learning is what humans do best." As the ship rose into the sky, the base faded behind. He had arrived as a prisoner. He left as a symbol dot, and across the stars, stories began to spread of the boy they called weak, who made a machine empire kneel.